We'll also start, if you could all click continue so that we can post this later, that'd be great. And people might continue to just filter in. But for those of you who are here, thanks so much for joining us for our community meeting on behalf of the Lānaʻi Culture and Heritage Center. I'm Shelley, and we're so happy to have you all here. And feel free, if you folks have questions during this presentation, you can feel free to put them in the chat, and that's being monitored by Jana, who is helping us with our Zoom kind of admin in the background. So feel free to put them there, and she'll let me know, as they come up. We'll have a Q&A at the end. But yeah, we'll just get started. So we're here to talk about our Lānaʻi Community Stewardship Program, which is an initiative with the Kuhib Akai project. So I'm going to start with that. Our agenda for today is we're going to just talk briefly about Kuhib Akai. If you folks aren't familiar, which I feel like many of you are because you're probably a part of it, but if you're not, then we're going to talk a little bit about that, a little bit about the Culture Center and why we decided to take on this initiative, and why we think it's really important for our island. And then we'll be getting into some of the details of the actual stewardship program, the protocols, the rules for the resident hunting here. So that will be presented by John. And then finally, Ben Ostrander will be sharing a little bit about identifying cultural resources if you're out in the field, which is what we're hoping that all you volunteer hunters will be able to do during the program. And then we'll end with a Q&A if anyone has any questions at all. So thanks, and we'll get started now. So Kuhib Akai is a 5-year program that began in 2019. So this is actually the 2nd year of the program. And there were a round of grants that went out the first year, and we're a part of the second group of grant rounds. So we're really excited to be a part of this initiative. The overall goal is to kind of restore health to the landscape of the Keomoku region. So the entire eastern side of the island, from the Kuahiwi, the mountain, down to the shoreline. And it aims to protect the coral reefs, the native plants and animals, the endangered ua'u bird that lives up on the Hale, of which we have the largest colony, I believe, and also sensitive coastal cultural sites. So those are some of the major things that the project is aiming to protect. And the partners on this project are National Fish and Wildlife, NIFWIF, San Diego Zoo, and Pulama Lānaʻi. So they've all put in millions of dollars to try to allow different people to come in to do projects to protect the resources that we just described above, which is really exciting. So of the measurable things that are trying to be accomplished in the coming, I guess, 3 years now, we're in the 2nd year, so 3 to 4 years of the program, they want to see increased community conservation ethic, which is one of the big reasons why we wanted to get involved and try to help rope in a lot more of the community. Decreased erosion, flooding, and sedimentation, which we all know is a big problem on the Keomoku side. Improve native habitat quality through ungulate population control and fencing of priority areas. Managing the invasive plants, which are really prevalent down on that side and kind of all over Lānaʻi, as we know. Protecting native wildlife, improving the health of our reefs, and preserving nearshore resources, which includes, the fish ponds that we're taking care of, and other cultural sites down there. So that's kind of the brief intro to Kuhib Akai, but I encourage you folks, if you have more questions, to reach out to us or to John or Rachel Sprague. They're kind of they're liaisoning between Pulama Lānaʻi and NIFWIF. And there's also additional information on the National Fish and Wildlife website if you're interested. So it's a really great project, and we at the Culture Center are really happy to be a part of it. So I wanted to kind of put this picture up because I feel like it really kind of shows Kuhib Akai, and the why of what we're doing. So Kuhib is like the mountain. So from mountain Akai to the sea. And so this was a drone photo taken at Waiaʻopai, which the Culture Center and Pulama Lānaʻi, we've been actively working to restore for about 6 or 7 years now. And so I thought this was a really good picture to kind of understand that in an ahupua'a, in a traditional land division, everything from the mountaintop to the shoreline affects one another. So what's happening on the mountain will eventually affect the health of our reefs, as we all know. So I think, the big patches of dirt we see in this picture, we all know where that ends up after rainfall. That's why Keomoku gets so muddy. But we've had kupuna records, or just, kupuna in my lifetime talking about how Keomoku used to be white sand. And so what we know of Keomoku now is not always how it was. And so that's kind of why we definitely wanted to get involved to help protect what we have left up on the Hale, but also to try to restore, health if, eventually we can leave a legacy of white sand back at Keomoku. I think that's kind of what we're all like thinking, in the very long term. So this 5-year project, I feel like, is a good way of kind of taking steps towards that vision. If we could imagine this place as being a thriving fish pond with clean reef, coral that's thriving and not getting choked out by the sediment that's coming down, and native plants that are there instead of just the Keawe forest. That's kind of what I think my goal would be, like, in my lifetime, to start to see some of that. So I hope you all agree. And I just want to show that picture because I feel like it really shows kind of the whole scope of this huge project. And so now moving on to the Culture Center. So if you folks don't know, we're a small community nonprofit that, we're trying to perpetuate Lānaʻi's unique history and culture. And so we've been in operation since 2007. We're currently housed up at the Dole Administration Building. So we function as a small museum, but we also have done many projects over the years. And of most note, I feel like, is our educational outreach with the students here. So this is a picture from sedimentation mapping that we did down at Waiʻopai. I believe I was a fall or winter break with some of the students that we work with. So, actively getting them involved in the landscape and learning about how can we restore health to Waiʻopai, and understanding that it's a multifaceted issue, right? It's not just rebuilding the stones, but it's also trying to, replant native plants in the area, and the struggles that come with that. And of most note is, the deer. Every time we try to plant native plants down at Waiʻopai or anywhere, it needs to be fenced in order to get protected from the ungulates. But sometimes, as we've seen, and as Ben can attest to, they just kind of ram right through the fence and we'll get our manava or whatever we're planting. So it's definitely a big struggle. But we're hoping that we can, the more that we all know, then we can all try to do little things to try to get back to health. And our motto is honoring the past, enriching the future. So that's why we felt like it was really important for us to try to be a part of this program, the Kuhib Akai program, because it's really about legacy and the legacy that we all want to leave as a community for Lānaʻi and for the generations that come after us. So that's kind of, why we got involved, was for the legacy portion. Also, we want to acknowledge that there is such great local skill here on Lānaʻi. There's so many people who are always hunting and grew up hunting, and have walked all the gulches and know the land extremely well. And so we wanted to kind of utilize that knowledge and intergenerational knowledge. A lot of people have been hunting with their parents and grandparents since deer and sheep were introduced to Lānaʻi only 150 years ago for both of those breeds. So it's definitely a new thing, and our landscape has definitely changed a lot because of the introduction of those ungulates. And we also want to start kind of shifting the idea of hunting just for the sake of hunting to hunting as a form of stewardship. So stewardship is to take care or to malama a place and the land. And so hunting in many ways is a form of stewardship because it's helping us to protect the native plants. It's helping us to reduce erosion that's choking out the reefs. So that's why we decided to call it the Lānaʻi Community Stewardship Program, as opposed to like a Lānaʻi hunting program, because we're thinking of it as hunting is just one component of how we're trying to bring health back to Lānaʻi. And it's a very important skill that we're hoping that the community will be excited to take part in. So thank you so much for allowing us to be a part of this. And I wanted to introduce our stewardship managers. So along the lines of making sure that we try to get the community involved as much as possible, we have 5 stewardship managers who are all longtime residents and hunters here on Lānaʻi, who know this place very well and are really good hunters. So I just wanted to call them out real quick. So that's Jonathan Preza, Uncle Matt Mano, Rick Shane Sabino, Eddie Morimoto, and EJ Magawai. So they have been in trainings with the Culture Center actually for the past couple of months, doing historical and cultural trainings about learning the place names of Lānaʻi, learning the history of what happened from geologic, like when Lānaʻi emerged to now. And so they've had a lot of sessions with us, and we're hoping to do more of that with the broader community as well. But they're all really great resources, and are actively the ones who are going to manage and update the program as we need. So if you folks in the audience have any suggestions for the program moving forward, feel free to talk to any of these guys, and we'll definitely take it into account. So with that, we're going to move into I'm going to turn it over actually to John, and he's going to talk about John Preza, and he's going to talk about the protocols. And yeah.
Oh, hi. Okay. First of all, we kind of featured this picture over here because when I was checking the roads out the other week, I went up to the top of Waiupai and I noticed a little green patch in the middle of the valley at the very top of the road, and I noticed it was fenced in. So in the middle of the picture, you see all the green grass and stuff that is really flourishing. And that's what we want to try to do in the long term, to try to get the mountainside to look all like that. Anyway, and then let me just talk about their hunting protocols that we're going to put up. So we're going to limit the participants to Lanai residents and EMSL personnel currently working on the island, which is fire, police, and medics. You need to have a PO box number if you're a short-time resident or you're working for the hotel or something to verify residency. You need a valid hunting license and a valid state or government ID, would be like the driver's license or a state ID. The firearms we're going to allow on this hunt is rifle, shotgun, muzzle loading, black powder, bow, and crossbow. So the guys who are hunting bows and crossbow, everybody's going to be required to wear orange. So if you're hunting in the Keomoku trees on the lower side, you're going to have to wear orange. And all the hunters are required to wear orange anyway. We're going to have a no bag limit, but we're going to expect them to expect everybody to take out what you can harvest. So we don't want anybody shooting 10 animals and harvesting only 2 of them. You know, save the rest for the rest of the guys. So we have a no bag limit. We're going to allow deboning, so you can debone and take out probably more animals. The project area we have is from the Koalanai Road all the way to Kapo Gulch, and the top side would be Monroe Trail and the Keomoku Road on the bottom side. We're gonna divide our area into 2 areas, same as the Pulama Lanai, which is the rifle A1 and A2. Our only difference is our center line is going to be Ka'a Road, and the company or Pulama hunting program, Waiupai Road, is the divider for A and B for those who hunt the area. So we're gonna have a limit of about 30 hunters, 15 for rifle A and 15 for rifle A1 and 15 for rifle A2. The days for the hunt gonna be Monday to Friday, sunrise to sunset. You check in the day before 6 p.m. And if you're hunting on Monday, you check in on Friday at 6 p.m. The 6 p.m. deadline is because we have to send a list of the hunters to all those people that have to be notified. We have to give them at least a 12-hour notice, so we're sending out the day before. Big thing for us is to check out. You have to check out 9 p.m. the day of the hunt, and that's we have to have that because if you don't check back in, we're going to have to notify emergency personnel that we're missing a hunter and we have to go out and look for you. So failure to sign in or out will result in loss of hunting privileges. So big thing again, when you sign in, you better sign out that day, even though you don't go hunting, make sure you come in and sign out. And again, 30 hunters per day, 15 in A1 and 15 in A2.
And that's first come, first serve, right? No reservations?
Yeah, it's first come, first serve. So our signing sheet will have a list of 15 names. So once the 15 names is filled up, that's it for the day, for that day. So you might have to come in the next day to sign out for a hunt. So it's Monday to Friday every day, sunrise to sunset. And that's not locked in stone. If we don't have the numbers we expect, we might open up a weekend day, but it's only going to be 5 days a week because we have 5 hunting managers to cover all the shifts. Okay, so we're going to start the hunt in July. As of July 1st, July 1st and 2nd, which is a Thursday and Friday. We're going to use those days just to have people register for the hunt, because the new hunting license comes out July 1st. So people can register for the hunt July 1st, and it's going to be from 8 to 11 in the morning and 2 to 5 in the afternoon for those morning and night shift workers. So 1st and 2nd, which is Thursday and Friday, we're going to just sign in, register people for the hunt. The people on that Friday can actually sign up for the hunt on the Monday. So we're going to start the hunt effective July 4th, which is also a holiday, but we're going to open up. The hunting days will be Monday to Friday, and we're going to include the holidays. So whether it's holidays on Friday or Monday, we're still going to open it for hunt. So July 4th will be the first day of the hunt. And sign-in time, we'll leave the sign-in sheet there all day long, but 4 to 6, somebody will be at the office and you can ask questions or something. But come 6 p.m., that's the deadline for the hunt for the next day. Oh, July 5th. Oh, sorry, July 5th is going to be Monday, the first day of the hunt. Sorry, I didn't check my calendar. Okay, required documents when you check in. You're going to have to fill out a registration form. You got to have your hunter ID, and you got to fill out a waiver form for the company side.
Do you want to talk about the initials on the registration real quick, like just that they acknowledge the waiver, the rules, and then the volunteer? You want to talk about the volunteering?
Yeah, so basically it's a stewardship hunt. So we're going to have people, we expect people maybe once or twice a year to come out to help malama the land or help with the cultural sites we have around the island. So maybe you have to work on the fish pond one day, or maybe bench, clean it up one day. So we expect the hunters who participate in the program to come out and help us on these projects. And our new office now, and we're calling it a stewardship office rather than a hunter office. That way you don't get confused with the hunting office down in Pulama. So the stewardship office is located in the Lānaʻi Culture and Heritage Center on the, if you're facing the center, you'll be on the left side, the left corner. And that used to be the old hunting office for Lānaʻi Company. That's where Gary Numa and all those guys had their office before. So you park in the back, and our office is right in the corner. We'll be having a phone number for you to call us if you need more information. And our hours will be posted outside. And so you can come and check in. So you check in and check out at that office.
It was also the old courthouse for people who are more.
Oh, right. Yeah. It used to be a courthouse before.
Okay.
So yeah, just a reminder, we're looking at using safe hunting practices. Look out for people, don't shoot towards the road or ocean. Just, wear your orange, just be safe and kind of recognize the game before you shoot. And the terrain you could be hunting is really rough. So just be careful. We kind of recommend you hunt with a partner. So somebody's always there with you. If you're not hunting with a partner, let people know where you're going. Because again, if you don't check in at 9 o'clock, we're going to set a 9:30 limit. If we can't find you, we're going to have to activate emergency procedures to try to find you. So if we know where you are, at least it's going to limit the time if you're hurt or something. It's going to limit time that we can find you. So make sure you try to let people know where you're going or hunt with a partner. Just be careful, and safety is our main concern.
Thank you. And I also wanted to say that, part of this project is to try to, since there'll be so many more eyes out on the land, to try to make sure that we keep track of that data of how many deer at one that people see. So when people check in check out from the hunt, so they come back on that sign out form, it's going to ask not only how many ungulates were taken, but also how many were observed. So we can kind of keep track of that data. And we're also going to be asking everyone to be on the lookout if they come across any cultural sites or cultural resource, or just items. Then I'm actually going to ask Ben to take off or turn on his video so he can share about what the protocol is if you do come across anything cultural, because there are a lot of things out there on Lānaʻi that I'm sure a lot of you folks have seen, and not all of them have been necessarily surveyed, or I'm sure people have found like ulumaika and different kinds of artifacts. But Ben is going to share a little bit about the protocol that we would like all the hunters, and if you just want to let anyone know what we recommend for if you come across those kinds of things while you're hunting.
Hey, so hi everyone. My name's Ben Ostrander. In case you don't know, I work with Kulama in the Culture and Historic Preservation Department. So a lot of collaborative work goes into different aspects of the work in partnership with the Culture Center, and I was kind of asked to give you a little bit of information and maybe some kind of things to keep an eye out for, and ways that we can do things right to try and preserve and keep things in place while also documenting and in some cases deciding if something is vulnerable to some kind of vandalism or something. But best practices that we can do while kind of participating in this program. So in this slide right here, there's a couple of different pictures. One, you can see the basalt flakes, or what an archaeologist would call debitage, and that's kind of the waste product of tool making from stone material. And so these lithics, of stone tool making, they kind of almost look like potato chips, something of that nature. And there's a few different kind of distinct things on it that you can really use as a clue to know whether it's man-made or if it's kind of naturally occurring. So these are kind of clues that there was activity in the distant past that indicate people were living in an area, living or doing, whether or not they lived there, they went through that area. You can see in the other picture there, that's a konani board or a papamu, and this is a game board. I know several of us that we had kind of previously talked, we discussed how papamu such as this was actually caught at the airport en route to leave. Somebody had, and it was a hunter in a different area that picked it up and was leaving the airport with it. So kind of artifacts and things of all different sizes really can be vulnerable. And so really with both Kulama and our Culture and Historic Preservation Department and the Culture Center, we really want to kind of emphasize the value of these things and wanting them to stay in place preferably. But when there are things that are, Shelley kind of mentioned a little bit earlier in that introduction about ulumaika, something real handheld and small, easily to carry off with, is much more vulnerable than, say, a papamu or kind of like a structure or something. But in any case, a couple of the protocol really to do is when can, or when deemed not in immediate danger of something, to leave things in place, and that's whether it's a tool or an artifact. It could be a shell, or any kind of thing you see, we want to leave in place. But regardless of if we're thinking it's could get lost, if it's in a stream bed and it's gonna erode away and be lost, versus it's something that's not going to be really moving. We would like you guys, the participants, if they feel comfortable, to kind of document that just with a photo, and then if you can, GPS, or one thing that's really convenient for all of us. Everyone has a cell phone. If you're able to turn on your tracking on your phone when you take a picture, it will capture those coordinates also. I know sometimes depending on the if you're in the thick Keawe, probably you're not going to get reception. But and you might be a wider kind of area that it's going to indicate you're at, but you know, more open areas, you're going to get a fairly good signal. And you know, for participants, they can reach out to you know, these you know, hunting guide leader, you know, in this program to get specifics on how they can kind of set that up with their phones. But with that information, we would be able to go back to that place and kind of determine what kind of the next plan of action would be, if it's something that we would want to, you know, always, you know, documentation, you know, the different histories that we are fortunate to have today. We always think how much, you know, there's always questions to the information that we do have. And so anything that's still preserved and that can kind of can be documented, and there might be things that we can learn from, and you know, that kind of can help shape the you know, future and how that the larger Kuhib Akai project kind of goes forward. You know, similar to what John Preza said and showed that slide with that, you know, nice you see that landscape or just a little portion in that fenced area. I think it was a fenced area, but in that gulch with native trees inside there, and trying to expand upon that. Kind of one of the good indicators of a place that is that could be good for reestablishing some native forests and things is that people were living in that place before. That could be an indicator that there was native plants and things growing at a time before a lot of the ungulates and erosion and everything like that. So there's a lot of lessons that we can learn from you know, what's on the landscape, and we feel that it's important documenting that, and when needed, protecting further. And we can do that by both pictures and by taking GPS and allowing people, you know, it might be people from our department with Ulama, where we get something, information that says, you know, someone says, hey, they were out on a hunt on such a day. Here's some photos. This is the GPS. And from photos, you can kind of see, hey, that's something, that is something, you know. And sometimes from photo, you can kind of go, oh, no, I think that's natural. But regardless, we'd be able to get back to that place. And then we could make a determination, and there might be something significant, and we can pass that on to, you know, trained archaeologists that you know, periodically come to Lānaʻi on different projects, and they could go out and you know, make a further determining factor on whatever that is that was seen. You know, just to kind of add in that re-emphasize also, like that photo of the plants and the trees growing there. When you see something that's different, whether it is stones and shells and something man-made and that people kind of moved around, the plants really too. Like if you see something that you haven't seen before, take a photo, take a GPS point, and that might, you know, it could be something fairly rare. It could be a native plant that's good to know where there's these little pockets of growth, or it could be an invasive plant that we don't know that's here on island yet. And that information is just as valuable to kind of, hey, we got this, and meet it before it goes further. So all of that documentation would really be helpful. And if there's anybody that's not comfortable with certain things, you know, talk with the group and we can figure it out. But yeah, I want to just thank everybody, and if later, let me know if there's questions.
Thanks, Ben. Yeah, so if anyone sees anything out there, you can let the stewardship managers know when they come in, and photos are always great. So thanks, Ben, for sharing. That was kind of the tail end of our presentation, because we do want to open it up. If anyone has any questions at all, I also wanted to share that there's an email active if anyone has questions, stewardship@lanaʻichc.org. We also have our website, lanaʻichc.org/hunting. And so that page will be updated with, you know, as announcements come out. And it's also where I'll be posting the registration form if anyone wants to get a head start on filling that out, and the waiver form for download. So that'll be housed there by this weekend. I'll also post this recording there and probably on our YouTube channel as well, once we get it processed. So if anyone couldn't make it tonight, you know, just that's a good page to check out to see what's happening. We also have a Facebook and Instagram page, Lānaʻi Culture and Heritage Center does. So we periodically like update about what we're up to there. So I wanted to open it up and see if anyone had any questions at all. But thank you all for coming. If you do have questions, you can feel free to unmute. Or if anyone from our team has anything to add that they wanted to share, you can unmute as well. Okay.
So Shelley, John, and Ben, that was all really awesome. I think it's a really good, clear sort of explanation of why we're doing what we're doing, and I really appreciate that. I wanted to sort of mention sort of two things. One is, you know, I think this is a hugely important effort that you guys are undertaking. You know, from an ecological perspective, I think deer and sheep are probably the most impactful species that we have on Lānaʻi, for good and for bad. And so that's really important. And I would also say that, you know, we don't often think of it this way, but I think one of our most important natural resources that we have on island is obviously the community and the people who can go out and put in the effort to help malama the land and steward by participating in this. So I really appreciate everyone who's going out, and for you guys for putting in the effort just to organize all this. I wanted to mention one thing right quick, specifically about what John mentioned about the enclosure over in Kahea at the top of Waiaupai Road. I was up there maybe a month ago or so as well, and it is a really good example of what that coastline could look like if the ungulates were at a density that was more appropriate for the land. And if you have a chance to go over there, I really recommend that if your legs feel strong and good, go down and take a look. It will really highlight the impact and the effect that an overabundance of deer and sheep has had on that landscape. One thing we do recommend or ask is that you not go inside the enclosure, at least without an escort. The reason the enclosure is there is there's an endangered species of albutylon, Irameta petalum, which is a hidden petaled abutylon, which is one of our most endangered species on Lānaʻi. So they're very small and they're very cryptic, and so if people go in there, it could potentially damage them. But I definitely recommend you go take a look. There's some beautiful naʻi in there. The vegetation is super lush, and again, it's really a pretty and very peaceful and very meaningful site. So, John, I'm glad you saw that and brought that photo. That's perfect. That's all I wanted to add. Thank you guys again.
Thanks, John, for sharing. Great. Any other questions or comments? Uncle Dean, you want to say something? He's our president of the Culture Center. Oh, you're muted.
Unmute. Okay, here I am. Thanks. Sorry. Couple of things. First of all, I want to thank all of you who are participating. I want to thank Pulama and John, the landowner, that allowed us the opportunity. And I want to thank all of you, especially the hunting managers, because I know these take a lot of your time, and even just the educational part, and this is really more than a job. It's a passion for our island. And I want to expand on what John said about this hugely important effort. This is kind of a seed. We're trying to plant a seed to care for our island. And when we first talked about this, a lot of the initiatives that the center was doing involved educational outreach with our young people, because they are the future. And we're looking for an opportunity to make an outreach to our adult community. And a big reason for that is that, as John said, the people are the resources. You have kama'aina and kupuna wisdom and experience from your own hunting, from your parents, from your grandparents. We know the island because we are from the place and of the place. So, like I said, this is a seed. This is not just shooting game and bringing home, because we know how to do that. We've been doing that forever. We're hoping to develop different eyes when we go on Aina. We go with a different mindset, and ultimately those things also will add the difference in our hearts about this place. And it's so important also because it's going to be transferred to the children. And maybe simple things like picking up their rubbish. When you go beach and you see plenty of rubbish on the beach, pick up a little bit, just small kind, but it can all grow, yeah. And like John was saying, hopefully our kids gonna notice native trees and invasive trees. And I was a kid hunting, I didn't know anything about trees, we just hunted. So anyway, I just want to thank all of you for doing this. I think it's hugely important. I want to thank Shelley too with the presentation, and Ben. These are our go-to people, and I hope as you can see, the center is a tremendous resource of knowledge about the island. It is essential, and some people don't know much of what we do, but I think especially hunting managers, as you guys work with us, because you guys know the land, you guys are hunters, and you guys know everything. And it'll be, I'm hoping my aspiration will expand to the ocean, to native plants, the whole Alcoa thing, the island as a whole. While we're focusing on the herd, if this grows, and we can also use Jonathan has other grants and projects dealing with mapping the reefs, and other kind of other experts are doing other things or getting knowledge and data that maybe we can join in with them and use some of that data in some actual work on the island. So this is an opportunity for a tremendous partnership between the Kama'aina, and the families of Lānaʻi, and those people like John who have come in that love the island and wants to care for the place. So this is, again, a tremendous opportunity. So thank you very much.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah, I feel like it's always good to end the presentation with Dean because it's like big picture. So thank you. Great. So I also wanted to say that our project, our grant project is currently going through August of next year. So when people do sign up, it'll be for, the registration will be for from July 1st of 2021 until June 30th. And then next year we'll have to do registration again as hunting permits come out, or the new yearly thing. So, oh, Kari, I see your hand up. You can unmute yourself.
Hi, Shelley and everyone else. I just had a few questions, if that's okay to ask at this time.
Of course.
Okay, awesome. I just, as regards to just clarify for the bag limit, so there's no bag limit for deer or sheep and male or female, correct?
Correct. Oh, sorry. Did any of the stewardship managers want to answer that? I think that's right.
Yeah, you can answer if you want. Yeah, that's correct. No bag limit. And we just want to keep the data of what you're actually shooting though. What kind of, is a ram or a buck or a doe, and how much you shot. And we're also looking at how much you've seen in the area when you go to the hunt. So we can compile some data and try to see how we're doing over the period that we managing the area.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah, Kari, so on the when people come in, when they check out from their hunt, there'll be like a little on the table. We'll ask them like how many they took and what gender it was. So thank you. Do you have another question?
I do. Just well, I have a few questions, but just one more. I was just curious about, as far as, significantly trying to reduce the herd, both the mouflon sheep and the deer in the Kuhib Akai project area. I was just wondering, are there goals on the table as far as the numbers that you want to reduce the herd by, or percentage of, a percentage number that you want to reduce the herd by? I'm just curious if it's like 1,000 or 2,000 or 5,000 within A1 or A2, things like that. Just curious about those kind of specific numbers that you might be looking for. Thanks,
Kari. Sorry, I'm gonna let the stewardship managers, if they have answers on that. the program will continue to develop. So right now we don't have a set number, but part of that is because we don't really have a good idea of like how many are within the two areas right now. So I know, John, I tuned into your guys's, the community presentation you did, and you talked about like that inflection point of when, like how many does that you take out, will it like stabilize the population or start to reduce the population? So I think there will definitely have to be more conversations had once we get maybe a better idea of like how many are the hunters are observing kind of baseline in the area, because to my knowledge, I don't think we have that data. John, is that correct? Or
Yeah, no, I mean, I'd say that's one of the biggest challenges we have with managing the herd long term, both in specific areas like Kuhib Akai side, but also island-wide, it's a challenge. One of the things that we're working on our end is trying to come up with a protocol for getting a better handle on more accurate counts, specifically so that we can identify those and sort of what those numbers are at those inflection points for managing the herd at the appropriate size. I think that's going to be one of the biggest areas of growth for this project as it moves forward, generally speaking, is starting to adjust to those targets once they can be identified with better data that we've been able to collect over time.
thank you. John Spreza, do you have anything to add? Sorry, you're unmuted, so anything to add?
Do you have anything to add?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Oh, you're
Yeah, actually, we're looking at, I guess, a bag limit of at least, or harvesting at least 4 to 10 animals per day to meet our quota. But I just wanted to point out that to all the hunters that days when the other researchers are doing research in the area, we might have to close one of the units down or two. And hopefully we have a week or 2 week notice so we can notify hunters that, you cannot hunt unit A1 Monday to Wednesday on this particular week or something like that. So just be aware, we're just working with other entities and we have to adjust our schedule to them also.
Thank you. And Kari, thanks for asking such a good questions. I also know that for like, this is for the grant purposes, like I did put down a number for kind of what the target would be within like the, I think since we're starting in July to August of next year. So I can talk to you about that. I need to go back and check the exact number. But we also are getting, sorry for everyone, we're getting a slot in the monthly newspaper to publish our take data and like what was observed so that people can kind of stay up to date. It'll also be updated on that website page that I shared so that people can be more aware of like the hunting that's happening on that side and kind of like if we're able to, take more ungulates out of that, help protect the plants. Thanks, Kari. Did you have another question?
No, that's Kelly and John, and just appreciate, the really great presentation. And yes, definitely, I think everybody's interested in the numbers, and thank you for being so transparent going forward with those take data. So that's it.
Yeah, of course. I think we're all working towards the same thing. So I feel like the more that we can share with each other, the better it'll be. So yeah, thanks so much. And sorry, just a plug for Kari, because Kari's the Lānaʻi botanist, and she's very smart and knows all the plants. So if anyone in the audience, sorry, not Kari, not to put her in the spot, but like if anyone wants to reach out, that's who Kari is. So yeah, thank you, Kari.
No worries. I don't know all the plants, but I'm happy to answer any plant questions if any hunters come your way with photos that they don't know of plant species.
All right, I see. So we'll be sending the monthly newsletter. Newspaper will be our take, and then also on our website. So everything will be published there. Other questions? Okay, great. Well, thank you everyone for coming in and stopping by, and I'll make sure that the recording gets posted so that if you guys want to forward it to any of your friends who weren't able to make it or are interested in just learning more, this will be available. But yeah, feel free to spread the word to anyone who is interested in participating in the program. We'll get started in first day of July for registration and everything. So we hope to see folks there, and thanks so much.
Wow.